Hi, this is Ben Ivey, the fulfillment artist, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to stop backsliding. So what is backsliding? Backsliding is where there's something that you want to do, like you know you want to do it, but you keep going back to the old habit you used to have. Does this make sense? So let's say you have a habit that you want to do, like you want to start reading every night, and then you sort of do it for a week, and then you sort of slide back into your old habits of, I don't know, eating chocolate and watching TV. Right? Or maybe it's, well, the example I use for me is that I kept on backsliding when it comes to exercise and going to the gym. So I had a gym buddy, and this was a while ago, and we used to go together to the gym. So when you've got someone there, that's great to keep you accountable. However, what would happen is if he didn't go, then I wouldn't go. And if I wouldn't go, then he wouldn't go. So what would happen is, because we both weren't fully committed, we would end up going really strong for like a week, and then we'd have a week off. And then, you wouldn't really do anything. Maybe I'd go for a run, but not for that long. And then we just sort of slide back. And then the next month will come and say, okay, now we're going to do it. And then we do it for 2 weeks that month. But then we'd sort of slide back. And it's difficult because when you want to move forward and you've got all these things that you want to do, if you keep backsliding in certain areas, you're stopping that success cycle. So what do I mean by this? When we have habits and we do things over a period of time, right, they start to accumulate and add up. But what happens is if we keep going up and down and up and down and up and down, it gives us all these like issues in so many different areas, and then we can't really move forward because we're still stuck on the same thing that we're trying to overcome. And I focus on trying because we're not doing it. So how do we move forward with this? Well, the first thing is number one, which is awareness. Okay, you've got to be aware that you're backsliding, right? Because sometimes we just forget. So how do you become more aware of where you're backsliding? Well, one of the best things is reflection, like, how did my day go, things like that, and just asking yourself certain questions. And the other ones is actually like listening to people and what they say you do, right? Now, I had this habit, right, that I had no idea I had, okay? And it's a really weird one. And the habit was, when I used to take my socks off, right, I used to always leave them inside out. I just had no idea, right? And I just kept forgetting that I did this, and I was like, yeah, and she was like, well, why do you do that? Why don't you just normally take your socks off like a normal person? And I was like, well, I don't know, I've just done that for so long. And then I sort of had to consciously be aware, and then now you'll be happy to know I can take my socks off normally, right? It's a small example, right? So let's use something bigger, right? A bigger example would be something like, okay, you've got your relationship and you feel that when you have arguments, you get really angry and you start to shout, right? And what you want to do is you want to stop doing that and you want to do something different. But you find that when it gets to a certain point, you then shout and you break and you've got a little bit of patience, but then you sort of get angry. Does that make sense? Like, let's say you always want your partner to take out the trash, okay? And what happens is she does it for like a few days, and there's one day she forgets and you kind of feel a little bit annoyed, you feel that volcano coming, you feel really get angry, but you're like, no, I'm not that person anymore, right? And then she comes back and she says, why didn't you take out the trash? And you're like, it was your turn to take out the trash. Like, why didn't you do that? And then you get yourself in a state and it's very stressful, right? So how do you do that? Well, there's certain things you can do, right? So awareness is the first step. The second thing is to set a new standard. So what do I mean by set a new standard? Well, we have these standards in our life, and some of us are aware of it and some of us aren't. But we've got standards in all different areas that are a must to do, right? So one of the ones that I'll give you an example is like, do you brush your teeth every night before you go to bed? For most people, they're like, yeah, of course. You know what I mean? And you say it with such nonchalance, right? It's like, well, of course I do. Of course I brush my teeth. There's other things you do, right? Where you're like, of course I go to the gym. Or of course I eat healthy food. Or of course I cook dinner for myself every night. And we have these things that are just these, of course, these musts that we do. And that is the sort of standard that we have. Now, I'm a person that does this, right? Now, it was funny. I had a client the other day and I set her an exercise to, and she said, oh, Ben, I've just had such a busy week. I've been traveling so much. I'm like, right, okay, so you've been traveling. I said, what did you do yesterday? I was like, well, I got up at 7. I went for a run for 2 hours. And then I was like, went for a run for 2 hours? She's like, yeah, well, I run for 1 to 2 hours every day. I have to, right? And for her, she's like, well, yeah, I don't have extra time because that's something that I just have to do, right? So it's where we start looking into our lives and setting these new standards, right? Setting these things and saying, okay, you know what? I'm a person that goes to the gym 3 times a week. So how do you do this? You say, okay, that is my standard. I will go to the gym 3 times a week. Even if I just go for a minute, I am someone that goes to the gym for 3 times a week, right? Or I'm someone that reads for at least 10 minutes every single day at some point. And you sort of set these new standards for yourself. So as you're watching this video, there's probably an area of your life that you're thinking about that you say, oh, maybe I'm backsliding in there. Maybe you've got a couple. But I'd say just pick one for now and think about what new standard could you set, right? What is the sort of new standard for you? Is it like, I'm going to do this, done. Every week, that's what I'm going to do. Now, the last thing is you need to set up a sustainable system. So if you're going to stop yourself backsliding, you need to create something to make it so easy, right, that you can't say no. It's the same thing about forming a habit, but also you're becoming more aware of what to do. And it's these small wins that add up and it makes it easier and easier for you to move forward. So for example, you may not brush your teeth for 5 minutes every single night. But, you know, when you're really tired, you get back and then you sort of go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like you're there, you do it, and then you go to sleep, right? It's the same in the gym, right? So I would say, you know, if you can't do that and you're feeling really tired, go to the gym, go for a jog for 5 minutes, then go home. But at least you're doing that and you're conditioning yourself and you're saying, you know, I'm a person that does that. And it's really, really important to do. So when we think about sustainable systems and we think of bigger things, like let's say you're saying, let's use the example of the relationship, right? And you feel yourself getting really angry. You say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Before I answer, I'm going to take a deep breath, I'm going to center myself, and I'm going to say it from a place of love, right? And you say, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get angry. Absolutely not. I'm going to come from a place of love no matter what. So every time you feel yourself getting angry, you go, and it just interrupts that pattern. And the more you do it and the more you interrupt it, the easier it will become. So that's why to begin with, like you're starting a new habit, it seems difficult to begin with, but then it becomes easier and easier. And that's the success cycle. So there's different areas of your life where you may feel, oh Ben, I just keep backsliding. I don't know what it is. And the truth is, right, your purpose and the awareness isn't high enough and you don't have that big enough why. Right? The why is really, really important for you. Because let's say you want to do a new thing and you want to stop backsliding, but the truth is you haven't got enough leverage on yourself to make it a must. It's kind of like, well, I should do that. And we don't do our shoulds, we do our musts. So you've got to think in your life, okay, what is my why? Why is this so important to me? Right? Why can I just like really, really focus on this, right? A great example I'll give you is Chinese. Right, so for myself, I kept on backsliding in Chinese. I'd do it for maybe a month, but properly, and then I'd backslide. And then I'd do it for a little bit, and then I'd backslide. But it got to the point where I was like, okay, this is I've had enough, right? And you get to that point where like, this is, no, right? I'm just going to do this, done. And when you have that switch and you have that change, then something different happens. Right, I'm going to do Chinese every single day for at least half an hour. Bam, done. And you schedule it in. And it's things like that, and it's that sort of decisiveness, and you're assertive. And that's where you start to break these patterns and you don't fall back. Because the reason you fall back is at some level you want to fall back. It's kind of strange to think about it like that, but what I want you to take from this video is think about where you backslide. Go through those 3 points and then really focus on that why as well, because that why is really important to act as the follow through. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you have an incredible day and I look forward to seeing you next week.